الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أما بعد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد على أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ قالت الملائكة يا مريم إن الله اصطفاك وطهرك واصطفاك على نساء العالمين صدق الله العظيم. After praising Allah and sending salutations upon His beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, today I would like to talk about one of the greatest women who have ever lived, Maryam alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself, He mentions in وَإِذْ قَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ يَا مَرْيَمُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَاكِ. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you, وَطَهَّرَكِ, and has purified you, وَاصْطَفَاكِ عَلَى نِسَاءِ الْعَالَمِينَ, and has selected and chosen you over all the women. This does not contradict the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wherein the virtues of Khadija radiallahu anha have been mentioned. The scholars, they say that Maryam alayhi salam was the best woman of her time, and Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha, she was the best woman of her time. So in the entire Quran, you look from the beginning from Surah Al-Fatiha to Surah Al-Nas, no other woman has been mentioned besides Maryam alayhi salam. On numerous occasions, Maryam has been mentioned, and one chapter of the Quran has been dedicated, has been named after Maryam alayhi salam. So who was Maryam alayhi salam? Regarding Maryam alayhi salam, she was the وَمَرْيَمَ بِنَتَ عِمْرَان. She was the daughter of Imran. Imran, he was the Imam of Masjid al-Aqsa at his time, and he was a pious person. So the wife of Imran, before Maryam alayhi salam was born, she made a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, requesting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a son. And she took a pledge, and she made a vow. She said, إذ قالت امرأة عمران, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described this, رب إني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا فتقبل مني إنك أنت السميع العليم. That whatever I pledge and I make a vow that whatever is in my fi batni, whatever is in my stomach, محررا فتقبل مني, accept this from me. At the time, it was the tradition that people would give their children as their service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they would give them and they would serve the Masjid al-Aqsa. They would be khadims, they're in the service of Masjid al-Aqsa, and they would serve the masjid. So people often make this type of vow, pledge. So similarly in this manner, the Imran, the wife of Imran, she makes this pledge, she makes this vow, that whatever is in my stomach, I make this pledge to give this in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. You are the all listening and you are the all knowing. So after this, she becomes pregnant with Maryam alayhi salam. At the time, she does not know. She is expecting this child to be a boy, because normally the males, they would be in the service of the Masjid al-Aqsa. So فَلَمَّا وَضَعَتْهَا, when she gives birth, قَالَتْ رَبِّ إِنِّي وَضَعْتُهَا أُنْثَى. She says, I've given birth to a girl. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after this, He mentions, وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا وَضَعَتْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what she gave birth to. Allah knows full well that she has given birth to a girl. And she complains, the Imran, the wife of Imran, she complains in the manner, she says, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. And the men are not like women. That the task, etc., that can be carried out by the males cannot be done by the females. But in that way, this is interpreted, it can be said, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. That all the males, they will never reach, they will never be able to do what Maryam alayhi salam will be able to do. They will never be able to achieve this rank. And then she says, وَإِنِّي سَمَّيْتُهَا مَرْيَمْ. And I have named her Maryam. One of the meanings of Maryam is worshipper. And finally, وَإِنِّي أُعِيذُهَا بِكَ وَذُرِّيَّتَهَا مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. And she says, I seek refuge in Allah for herself and her progeny from مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ, from the accursed shaitan. The hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it is mentioned that when the child is born, the shaitan, he whispers into the child and he causes the child to cry, and he pokes the child. So all the children they cry when they are born, except there are two exceptions. In one hadith it is mentioned, Maryam alayhi salam was an exception to this, and Isa alayhi salam was also an exception. That Shaitan could not poke these children and could not affect these children when they were born. So after Maryam alayhi salam is born, and then the people they come to know that the father of Maryam, Imran, he passes away during the pregnancy of his wife. So she is born without a father. So when Maryam alayhi salam is born, the people around her, even in the khadims, everyone wants to take her, everyone wants to look after her, because this girl was unique. She was from a very pious family, and her birth was special as well. And her mother had made this pledge and this vow to give her into the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so Zakaria alayhi salam, he was a prophet at the time, and his wife, the wife of Zakaria alayhi salam, was also the aunt of Maryam alayhi salam. Alayhi salam. Let me say that once more. So at the time, Zakaria alayhi salam was a prophet, and Zakaria alayhi salam, his wife, she was the auntie of Maryam alayhi salam. So he requests that let me take her into my custody. But the other people they argued, so the decision is made that they will draw lots. And their way of drawing lots was that the people at the time they would write the revelation with certain pens. So the pens they used to write the revelation with, they took these pens to a stream, and each of the people, each of the khadims, they placed their pens inside the stream. And all the pens they sank besides the pen of Zakaria alayhi salam. So as a result, because Maryam alayhi salam, she came into the custody and she was looked after by Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam. So Zakaria alayhi salam, he begins looking after her. And then for her, because she had her mother had made this pledge that she will be given for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a special room is built for her in the quarter, not inside the masjid, but very, very close, attached to the masjid. She had her own quarters. And therein she would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Constantly she would devote herself to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whenever كلما دخل عليه, so Quran mentions something, a very astonishing fact, something very interesting. So whenever كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب, whenever Zakaria alayhi salam, not just once but multiple occasions, whenever Zakaria alayhi salam go to her, وجد عندها رزقا, he would find that she already has sustenance, she already has food, and there was no way of entering in this room. Besides, the room was closed, and there's no way for anything to come inside the room. And the food as well, it is narrated that she would receive out of season fruit. The winter fruit in the summer and the summer fruits in the winter. And remember at the time they had no refrigerators, etc. So there was no way, it was impossible for this to come from the people. So Zakaria alayhi salam, after saying this, he asked, قال يا مريم أنى لك هذا? Oh Maryam, where do you get this from? Where is this coming from? So she replies, قالت هو من عند الله. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إن الله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives sustenance to whom He wills without any account. So this the tawakkul, the yaqeen, the reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Maryam alayhi salam had from such a young age. And this reminds Zakaria alayhi salam that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can provide for Maryam out of season fruit, then even though I am old, even though my wife is old, she is not at an age where she can give birth to a child. But this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the all powerful. He can give sustenance to whom He wills. He can bestow children to whom He wills. So upon this occasion, after seeing this, هُنَالِكَ دَعَا زَكَرِيَّا رَبَّهُ. Zakaria alayhi salam, he calls unto his Rabb, calls unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he makes a dua. قَالَ رَبِّ هَبْ لِي مِن لَدُنْكَ ذُرِّيَّةً طَيِّبَةً. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant me from yourself a dhurriyyah. Dhurriyyah means children, and progeny, and tayyibah, good, pious children. So here we learn as well that we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like in the same way that the Anbiya alayhi salam, they would ask for children from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should also ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for children, dhurriyatan tayyibah. And this is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ أَزْوَاجًا وَذُرِّيَّةً, and we made for them wives and dhurriyyah, children. So children and wives are also, they are blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for children as well. So from the Zakaria alayhi salam, cut short, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blesses him with a child, and then after this Yahya alayhi salam, and he is named Yahya and he is born. So back to Maryam. So after Maryam alayhi salam, she grows older and she is given, she has many virtues. Her worship was well renowned. The people, they would admire her worship. Even when she would sit with the people all the time, she had this feeling, how can go away and seclude myself and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And constantly she would do this. So her worship was very unique and she would stand out. Even though she was a woman, but her worship was recognized and she was very unique in her worship. So later when she grows older, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Maryam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions, وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ مَرْيَمَ إِذِ انْتَبَذَتْ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا مَكَانًا شَرْقِيًّا فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِنْ دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا فَأَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهَا. When Maryam alayhi salam, she had secluded herself in the eastern quarters, and constantly therein she would make the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Upon this, when she was still young, فَأَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهَا رُوحَنَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we sent to her our ruh. Ruh refers to Angel Jibreel alayhi salam. And he came in the form فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. And he came in the form of a human being. Basharan, human being. Sawiya means very perfectly proportioned, perfectly symmetrical human being, implying that he came in the form of a human being. He was very beautiful, very appealing to look at. So some ulama, they say the context, this was فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا, it came as a test. So look at the response of Maryam alayhi salam. Even before Angel Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam, he gets the opportunity to speak, immediately she says, قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا. I seek refuge in Ar-Rahman. إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا. If you are God-fearing. So immediately she takes refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the name she uses, Ar-Rahman. Find that this person, even if you have come with wrong intention, Ar-Rahman is the most forgiving. You turn away now, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you. In kunta taqiyya. And in kunta is trying to, if you are God-fearing, even if you have some fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if you have some piety, you should turn away now. So this was the level of modesty of Maryam alayhi salam. She never had interrupted, even though this opportunity came, but immediately the haya was such, the modesty was such, she did not even let this person speak, and she immediately seeks refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She says, أعوذ بالرحمن إن كنت تقيا. So Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam, he replies, قال إنما أنا رسول ربك. Verily I am the Rasul of your Rabb. I am the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to you. لأهب لك غلاما زكيا. So I can give you glad tidings. I can give you this glad tidings that you are soon going to be blessed with a child. غلاما زكيا. So Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam, she replies, قالت أن يكون لي غلام. How can I have a child? ولم يمسسني بشر. And no man has ever touched me. ولم أكن بغيا. And I am not one of those women. بغيا refers to fornicate. قال كذلك. Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam, he replies, قال this has been decreed. قال ربك هو علي هين. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is very easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا. And so that we make it a sign for the people and a mercy from us. And وَكَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْتَضِيًّا. And this has been decided. So like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created Adam alayhi salam without any parents, in the same way, in the same manner, Maryam alayhi salam, she was to give birth to Isa alayhi salam without any father. So Isa is the son of Maryam alayhi salam without any father. He comes in the context of Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam, he blew onto her, and through the hukm of Allah, through the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she becomes pregnant with Isa alayhi salam. And now, as a very young woman, she comes from a very pious family, and she is suddenly pregnant with Isa alayhi salam. فحملته فانتبذت به مكانا قصيا. And because of this, she distances herself from people. And she gets this in society when if a person was to do something wrong like this, they would be stoned, they could possibly be stoned. So she has feared, she's scared, she's very young, she has nobody. So what can I do? She distances herself from the people. Again, she goes to a distant place. فأجاءها المخاض إلى جذع النخلة. And when the pains of labor at the start, she takes refuge by the trunk of a date tree. قالت يا ليتني مت قبل هذا وكنت نسيا منسيا. And because she is so scared, she's so worried, and she's panicking, she said, يا ليتني مت قبل هذا. I wish I had died before this. And وكنت نسيا منسيا. I had been completely forgotten. Just roughly translating the verse of the Quran. فناداها. So when she says this, فناداها من تحتها. So in tafsir it is mentioned she was on the upper portion of the hill, and Jibreel alayhi salam, he doesn't come close this time. From the bottom of the hill he calls out, فناداها من تحتها ألا تحزني. Do not fear. You don't have no fear, no sorrow. Don't be scared. قد جعل ربك تحتك سريا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided a stream for you beneath you. قد جعل ربك تحتك سريا. So water, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided water already. وهزي إليك بجذع النخلة تساقط عليك رطبا جنيا. And with addition to water as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made means for food as well. So she's told وهزي إليك, to touch the date tree, the trunk of the date tree, and to shake it and to press it. Even though normally the dates would not fall usually, but the fruit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by doing this, she received the dates from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she is told, فَكُلِي وَاشْرَبِي, eat and drink, وَقَرِّي عَيْنًا, and do not be saddened, do not cry, do not be upset, do not grieve, because soon فَإِمَّا تَرَيِنَّ مِنَ الْبَشَرِ أَحَدًا. And if anybody sees you, now she has been told, فَقُولِي إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا, I've kept a day's fast, فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنْسِيًّا, and I will not talk to anyone today. At that time, this was the type of fast. This is no longer in the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But they would keep this type of fast, that the fast of not talking to anyone. So she was told that if anyone sees you, then you just tell them, indicate to them that I'm fasting. So this was the time. At that time, they would keep this type of fast, a fast of not talking to anyone. And she is told to return to her people. Imagine a very young woman, she has given birth to a child, even though she is from a very pious family. What are the people going to think? What are people going to say? What kind of things, comments are they going to pass? But she has this tawakkul and yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, full reliance in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She is told, فَأَتَتْ بِهِ, to return to her people. فَأَتَتْ بِهِ قَوْمَهَا تَحْمِلُهُ, and not to speak. She does not know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells her, إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ, to keep this type of fast and not talking. She does not know that Isa alayhi salam is going to speak. She has no idea. But the yaqeen, complete conviction in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though she is very young, she complies with it, she follows the command of Allah. فَأَتَتْ بِهِ قَوْمَهَا تَحْمِلُ, she returns to her people, carrying Isa alayhi salam. And then people begin to say, قَالُوا يَا مَرْيَمْ لَقَدْ جِئْتِ شَيْئًا فَرِيًّا. What have you done? You have done something horrendous. What kind of act have you done? Ya Ukhta Harun, O sister of Harun. Okay, here Harun, it's not referring to the Prophet Harun alayhi salam, because he lived many, many years ago. It comes in one narration when one Sahabi radiallahu anh was narrating this to a group of Christians. They pose the same question. Which Harun is this referring to? Because are you saying Maryam is the brother of Harun? So when the Sahabi was confused, he did not know the answer at the time, and he returns to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells him, "You do not know that people, they keep their names after the prophets, Anbiya alayhi salam. So similarly, this Harun is a sibling of hers that was given the name Harun after the Prophet Harun alayhi salam." This is one explanation, and there are others. ما كان أبوك امرأ سوء وما كانت أمك بغيا. And the people begin to pass comments that your father was not a person who would engage in foul and vile acts. وما كانت أمك بغيا, and neither your mother should engage in such acts. So all she does for asharat ilay, she indicates to us the child. Then these people get even more angry. How you're telling us to speak to a child? How are we going to converse with a child? قالوا كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبيا. So upon this, the son of Maryam, Isa alayhi salam, he says, he speaks, even though he's just newly born, not even just 1 day old. قال إني عبد الله. Obviously, newborns usually they cannot speak through the power of Allah, the mu'jiza of Isa alayhi salam. He says, إني عبد الله. I am the servant of Allah. First thing to note here, to repel all those false beliefs that we have, that the Christians they go one step too far and they say Isa alayhi salam is the son of God and they believe in the concept of the Trinity. Here by saying Inni Abdullah, even though he's speaking in infancy, even though this is a mu'jiza, the first thing he says Inni Abdullah, I am the Abd of Allah, I am the servant of Allah. I am merely a human being, but I am the servant of Allah and nothing more. I do not enjoy a rank, a status next to Allah. I am no God. I am Abdullah. I am the servant of Allah. I am not Ibn Allah. No son of Allah. آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا. He has given me the kitab and he has made me a prophet. So already he is saying about the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon him. And وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت. And he has made me blessed wherever I am. So we'll discuss the lamp of Isa alayhi salam afterwards. But أينما كنت, because Isa alayhi salam was later lifted to the heavens, so it's appropriate أينما كنت, wherever I am blessed. And he will come down near the end of time as a follower of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me, Awsani has requested me bis salah, to perform salah, to give zakah, ma dumtu hayya, as long as I am alive. And he has also enjoined me وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي, to be good to my parents, وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْنِي جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا, has not made me a tyrant or shaqi. وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ وَيَوْمَ أَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ أُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. And salam be upon me the day I am born, the day I pass away, and the day I am resurrected. So ذَلِكَ عِيسَى ibn Maryam. This is Isa ibn Maryam. This is the events that transpired in regards to the birth of Isa alayhi salam. So this is the true belief that we should have as Muslims, dedicate ourselves. This is what happened, and this is how Isa alayhi salam was born. And this is who Maryam alayhi salam was. We look at the Christian texts and literature. First, many things will be written about Maryam alayhi salam, many things will be written about Isa alayhi salam. They don't conform, they have been distorted, they do not conform with our religion of Islam. And so very important that we know exactly how pious of a woman Maryam alayhi salam was. She had a very high rank. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned her multiple times in the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the end of Surah Tahrim he mentions وَمَرْيَمَ ابْنَتَ عِمْرَانَ الَّتِي and he mentions وَكَانَتْ مِنَ الْقَانِتِينَ. Even though she is a woman, you should have been وَكَانَتْ مِنَ الْقَانِتَاتِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions وَكَانَتْ مِنَ الْقَانِتِينَ. And she was from amongst the devout worshippers. Qanitin actually refers to males, but even though because she had such a high rank, she was such a special woman. From all the women that have come, because she was such a special woman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to her وَكَانَتْ مِنَ الْقَانِتِينَ. And her son was Isa alayhi salam. And another thing, Maryam alayhi salam, her rank and her speciality and was not just because of because of Isa alayhi salam. Even before the birth of Isa alayhi salam, she held a high rank over all the other women. In her ibadah, her worship, her piety, her modesty, and all these other acts of hers, all these other qualities and attributes of hers were very, very high. She enjoyed a very high status. And after this, she was blessed with Isa alayhi salam, a prophet. And the correct view in regarding to Isa alayhi salam, he is the son of Maryam alayhi salam, and who was born without her father. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand properly, and understand and appreciate, and let us learn from the life of Maryam alayhi salam, and to follow for the sisters to allow us to live our life in the same manner of Maryam alayhi salam, and to understand correctly the belief that we should have regarding Maryam alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam. Inshallah, we'll continue on the life of Isa alayhi salam next week. آمين. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.